Tonight on Global TV News Prime, President Tinubu signs 2025 $54.99 trillion and Naira appropriation bill into law. In business, federal government sets to restructure electricity distribution. On the foreign scene, UK Prime Minister invites EU leaders to summit to drive action on Ukraine security. And in sports tonight, Chelsea Arsenal in race to sign Porto forward Samu Agewa this summer. Hello to all our viewers and welcome very especially to news at this time on Global Television. Coming to you from Abuja, the nation's capital, with Uyi Agumofwebe. As always, would like to remind you that we are on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nightcom. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. Let's begin tonight by telling you President Bola Tinubu has signed into law the 54.99 trillion naira 2025 appropriation bill. President Tinubu signed the budget in the presence of principal officers of the National Assembly and other top government officials in a small ceremony in his office at the State House in Abuja. The bill was passed by the two chambers of the National Assembly on Thursday, February 13, after Tinubu had asked for an increase from the proposed 49.7 trillion naira. The local government election conducted on the 5th of October 2024 by the River State Independent Electoral Commission has been declared invalid by the Supreme Court. In the judgment delivered by Justice Jamilu Tukur, the court declared the election invalid for grossly violating the Electoral Act. Justice Tukur further stated that the action of the River State Independent Electoral Commission is declared void for lack of substantial compliance to the Electoral Act and guidelines as the electoral body continued voter registration even after announcing an election date. In another development, the Supreme Court has restated the judgment that barred the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and the Accountant General of the Federation from releasing statutory monthly allocations to River State. The court faulted the Abuja division of the Court of Appeal for vacating the initial order that stopped the release of funds to River State from the consolidated revenue following the failure of Governor Siminalayi Fubara's refusal to represent the 2024 appropriation bill of the state before the Martins Amayewule-led faction of the River State House of Assembly. The Apex Court further ordered the Martins Amayewule faction of the River State House of Assembly and other elected members of the House to forthwith resume sitting unhindered. Let's turn to the country's southeast now, where Imo State has recorded a significant reduction in maternal mortality alongside improvements in skilled birth attendance and immunization coverage. Commissioner for Health in that state, Dr. Prosper Ohagaya, disclosed this in an exclusive interview with Global Television. Imo State correspondent Amarachi Ibe highlights the state's strides in healthcare delivery.
Dr. Ohagaya said the state performed well in key health indicators during the last annual joint review, particularly in maternal health and immunization coverage. He noted that the maternal mortality rate has dropped, attributing this to availability of more skilled birth attendants and improved healthcare services, noting further that immunization coverage has reached approximately 73%, a major milestone in the fight against childhood diseases.
So, our maternal mortality rates is 576 per 100,000 live births in Imo State. This is one rate that has beaten so many rates in the country. The maternal mortality rate in Imo State is actually the very best.
Dr. Ohagaya commended the state governor, Hope Uzodinma, for his continued investment in health sector, which he acknowledged has enabled significant progress in maternal and child health care. He also emphasized government's commitment to strengthening primary health care centers, ensuring that essential medical services are accessible to communities across the state.
Imo State was doing very well with skilled birth workers. We did quite well in our immunization, which has about 73% coverage, but we need to do more. And we are not yet out of the woods. We are moving towards getting out of the woods.
With dedicated healthcare professionals working at the grassroots level, the state continues to improve access to quality medical services. Emelde Edozie, a front health worker, shared insights on the critical role of community health personnel in delivering care to families.
It's a vibrant and a functional health center serving the community. Here, we do so many activities to help the community. We give them antenatal care, we do delivery, and so on. We do lab services, we do laboratory investigation. All of the lab services are being done here. So people come here to do their lab tests in full.
With the ongoing efforts to enhance healthcare delivery, Imo State government is focused on achieving a better healthcare outcomes for its residents. Experts says continued investment in maternal and child health programs is the key in sustaining these gains. In Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
Well, thank you, Amarachi, for your reporting tonight from Owerri. Saudi Arabia has announced that the holy month of Ramadan will commence on Saturday, March 1st, following the sighting of the Ramadan crescent moon in the kingdom. With this confirmation, more than 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide will observe this sacred month by fasting daily from sunrise to sunset. Benue State Governor Hassan Thalia has described the death of a media icon and philanthropist Kenneth Gyado as a huge blow to not only the Gyado family but the entire state. The governor made the assertion at the burial of the late Gyado at Ihu Vandekia local government area of the state, where he joined other sympathizers to pay his final respects to the deceased. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent news broadcast. Let's turn to other stories for you tonight. President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the passing of veteran broadcaster Anike Agbaje-Williams, describing her as a trailblazer in the Nigerian and African broadcast industry. Williams, renowned as the first African to appear on television, passed away on Wednesday, February 26 in Ibadan at the age of 88. In a condolence message signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, Tinubu extended his sympathies to her immediate family, professional colleagues, and the entire broadcast media industry. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it will not conduct any by-election into the Rivers State House of Assembly until the cases before the courts are finalized. Reacting to a statement credited to Rivers State Governor accusing the Commission of selectively choosing and conducting by-elections into a vacant position, the Commission said while it is aware of the situation in Rivers State, it will not comment on it because it is sub judice. In a statement signed by Chief Press Secretary to the Commission's Chairman, Rotimi Oyekumi, INEC appealed to people occupying high public offices to be circumspect in their public statements before they mislead the public and cast aspersion on public institutions. The senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has accused the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, of sexual harassment. Akpabio has since denied the allegation through his media consultant, Kenny Okulogbo. Akpoti-Uduaghan made the allegation during an interview where she alleged that Akpabio had blocked her motions from being heard on the floor of the Senate because she rejected his advances. And back to electoral matters now. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has issued a warning regarding the handling of vacancies in the Rivers State House of Assembly following allegations from Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The governor had accused INEC of selectively implementing elections to fill vacancies caused by political defections, particularly in light of the ongoing factional crisis in the Assembly. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Sokoto State's University branch, has declared a total, comprehensive, and indefinite strike. The union says the failure of the university administration, governing council, and the state government to address lingering issues it raised were the reasons for the strike. It promised comprehensive enforcement, stating that the strike would shut down all activities across the institution. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has pledged his administration's commitment to fostering security and the well-being of the state citizenry. Bala made the pledge during the opening of the State Security Council meeting behind closed doors at the executive chamber of the government house in Bauchi. The governor expressed his concern on the rising issues of security among border communities with neighboring states, which he attributed to the mass migration from the neighboring states posed with security threats. This is Global Television, and you're on to the live broadcast of News Prime Tonight with Uyi Agmofwebe. When the rest of the news returns shortly, UK Prime Minister invites European Union leaders to summit to drive action on Ukraine security. We have those details from the world of foreign scene, as well as small stories from both business and sports for you. Do stay with us, everyone.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Well, thank you for staying with us here on News Prime tonight with Uyi Agmofwebe. The second part of tonight's broadcast now returns with business, where the federal government has disclosed plans to restructure electricity distribution companies, citing unwillingness of players to invest in the sector. Adebayo Adelabu, Minister of Power, says this in Abuja during the public presentation of the National Integrated Electricity Policy, where he said the distribution companies have continued to perform below expectations financially. He said the poor fiscal health of the distribution companies is affecting their ability to attract finance from banks. The federal government has signed a cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia's Halal Products Development Company to establish Nigeria as a leading player in the global halal market, valued at $7.7 trillion. The agreement will facilitate investment, technical cooperation, and market access across key sectors, including food production, pharmaceuticals, finance, and livestock for both countries. During the signing ceremony at the Makkah Halal Forum in Saudi Arabia, Vice President Kashif Shettima said the partnership represents a game-changing opportunity to transform Nigeria into a global halal economy powerhouse. The federal government, states, and local government councils have shared a total of 1.703 trillion naira in federation accounts for January 2025. This amount represents an increase of 19.6%, or 279 billion naira from the 1.424 trillion naira shared from December 2024 revenue, according to a press release by the Director, Press and Public Relations in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Bawa Mokwa. And beyond our shores now, China has moved to take all necessary countermeasures after the U.S. President Donald Trump says he would impose an additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports, a decision Beijing warned would seriously impact dialogue. Trump's latest move will come into effect on Tuesday, alongside sweeping 25% levies on Canadian and Mexican imports, intensifying a brewing trade war between the world's two largest economies. The 10% tariff on Chinese imports will come on top of an existing levy of the same rates imposed by Trump on China earlier this month. As we stretch it a little further into the foreign scene tonight, gunfire and explosions have ripped through a rally held by rebel leaders in the city they recently captured in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Videos show chaotic scenes with bodies on the streets after the crowd fled the rally in Bukavu, the second biggest city in the east, in panic. Casualty figures are unclear, but reports have quoted a hospital source as saying that at least 11 people have been killed and 60 others wounded. The European Union's law enforcement organization, Europol, says at least 25 arrests have been made during a worldwide operation against child abuse images generated by artificial intelligence AI. The suspects were parts of a criminal group whose members engaged in distributing fully AI-generated images of minors, according to the agency. Europol says the operation is one of the first involving such child sexual abuse material. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office says he has invited more than a dozen European and EU leaders to a Sunday summit to drive forward action on Ukraine and security. Starmer will chair a morning call with Baltic nations ahead of the main summit. Then it will come Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to Downing Street to discuss the war with Russia. Leaders from around continental Europe, including France, Germany, Denmark, and Italy, as well as Turkey, NATO, and the European Union, have been invited to the summit in London later on Sunday. U.S. President Donald Trump says he has a lot of respect for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the eve of their talks at the White House. When asked if he would apologize for recently calling him a dictator, he said he could not believe he had said this. He also called Zelensky very brave. Trump was speaking after talks with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer about ending the war between Ukraine and Russia. As Muslims around the world begin observing the holy month of Ramadan, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued a message wishing peace and unity to those observing the sacred month. In his video message, Guterres expressed his warmest wishes to Muslims worldwide and reflected on the values of compassion, empathy, and generosity that define Ramadan. The Secretary General noted that Ramadan is not only a time for spiritual reflection, but also an opportunity to reconnect with family and community and to remember those who are less fortunate. Israel's military has published its first official account of what authorities now call the mistakes that led to its failures during Hamas's 7 October 2023 attack, which triggered the Gaza war. The report concludes that the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) failed in its mission to protect Israeli civilians. The 19-page report contains much that is already known about what led to a catastrophic loss of about 1,200 lives when approximately 5,000 gunmen from Hamas and other Palestinian groups stormed into Israel, also taking 251 hostages in the process. Let's take a quick look at sports for you now. Kano Pillars coach Usman Abdallah has insisted he does not understand why the management of the club has suspended him after the club announced an extension of his initial 3-week suspension. Abdallah was nailed by the club earlier this month after their goalless draw against Bayelsa United in Kano, and the former Nigerian champions cited the coach's gesture to the fans and poor form as the reasons. The coach's 3-week suspension lapsed last week, but the club soon announced that the period has been elongated till the end of their Nigeria Premier League Matchday 28th game against Kwara United on Sunday, March 9, to allow them to do more investigation. Chelsea and Arsenal are reportedly both interested in signing Porto forward Samu Aguero during this summer's transfer window. The 20-year-old was heavily linked with a move to Chelsea from Atletico Madrid last summer, but he ultimately made the switch to Porto, and an excellent campaign to date has seen him score 19 goals and registered 3 assists in 31 appearances. The Spain international has 13 goals and 3 assists in 19 league outings this term, while it has managed 6 goals in 9 Europa League appearances, including 2 against Manchester United earlier in the competition. Let's begin to tie things up now on the news tonight. But first, a quick look at some of our top stories. President Tinubu has signed the budgets in the presence of principal officers of the National Assembly and other top government officials in a small ceremony in his office at the State House in Abuja. The federal government has disclosed plans to restructure electricity distribution companies, citing unwillingness of players to invest in the sector. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office says he has invited more than a dozen European and EU leaders to a Sunday summit to drive forward action on Ukraine and security. And finally, in sports tonight, we told you Chelsea and Arsenal are reportedly both interested in signing Porto forward Samuel Agawa during this summer's transfer window. And that's how we draw the curtains tonight on News Prime here on Global Television. But we'd love to remind you, as always, that you can find us on DSTV channel 365, Star Times 276, and free to air on Nightcom's Heart. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG as well as other handles, as you now see on your screen. Remember, you can download the Global TV mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our 24/7 broadcast. On behalf of my colleagues and the entire team who have made tonight's news broadcast a possibility, we say thank you for watching. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe. Have a big weekend ahead of you.